Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Diablo 3. My name is Wilfred, and in today's video I'd like to introduce the Whirlwind build I have for this Barbarian together with the gear I'm having. It's a little bit different from the what you've seen, what you've read in IC Vein or Leaderboard, mainly because I wanted a build that is effective but kind of like simple to play, just having fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun with this kind of movement build from Diablo 3. I haven't really played any movement build before in Diablo, and thanks to my friend Yoshi, who's been requesting me to play Barbarian this season 15. So I had a lot of fun with it. Not exactly a top build yet, but I may transit to it, I may not. We'll see how this season 15 goes. Having said that, I mean, I kind of like this build a lot. And if you take a look at my progress so far for the season, I've spent around 50 odd hours collecting gear. I think from 40 hours onwards, I really go into the farming for the end game kind of gear mode and trying to get as many paragons as possible. Ranked up the legendary gems and so on. So it's fun so far. It's really fun. Very durable. But I do see the limitations. So I'm not gonna lie about this is the best build ever for the Barbarian. But if you like movement build and you don't like the kind of complexity when playing with the Barbarian, then this is something that you could consider, because I found that it's very durable, at least up until Good Rift 75 or 80. So record wise, I've soloed at 80. Not really a very good time. I just did one time and one try. The boss was really hard, but I did it nonetheless. So this build with the current gear, which only not full ancient yet, legendary gems around 71, 72 ranks, and also that's about it. One ancient item augmented with 75 legendary gem. So it's very basic. I've managed to get 80, so I think this build is alright. It's doable. I play a little bit of like a multiplayer. Four player with my clan, Piper as well as Stu, my wife Cup, and we did like 85 in around 8 minutes ish. So I think that is pretty alright in a sense. So now so without further ado, I'd like to introduce the hero to you, a Barbarian season 15, and please be gentle with it. I know there are a lot of you who would like to go for top kind of tier, doing solo 90, 95 and above. I think last season I did it with my wizard around 94, 95 solo. But this Barbarian, I'm not that comfortable yet. There are things I'm still working on. Now, let's take a look at the okay, so to talk about the build, of course, it starts with the gear, which is the set item. So the set I'm using is the Wrath of the Wade set. Now I'm ignoring the rend because I don't really see how rend will fit into my build at all. At least not in a way that I may do more DPS, but I may sacrifice a lot on the survivability. So it's not something that I would use rend, but I do like the fact that the Whirlwind, after you start it, 3 minutes later you get a 50% damage reduction, as well as a Whirlwind gain like 3 times more powerful than it is. And also there's a Dust Devil kind of like rune that just spin off other kind of like like a wind kind of Whirlwind, hitting more multiple target. Now, so when you do a Whirlwind build, it is very much an area build. Very good at area damage, very good at like a lot of mobs, but not very good at single target. Now there are ways to do it better, so I'm going to share with you what are the consideration when doing the doing this build. So the whole set item is pretty much it, and I've just from a gear perspective, I'm still lacking of the shoulder, which is the ancient. If I got a shoulder ancient, I think that would be pretty good. Although this is not a bad one either from a normal perspective. I think it's probably as good as it could get, to be honest. Then the glove wise, I still need a better one, but like I said, I mean from a stat wise, all the percentage will not scale up by ancient, so it is for all intent and purposes a rather good one as well. It's just that these two I won't be able to augment it within legendary gems should I start to fill up all the legendary gems against the slots. The pants is an ancient. Then I've got the boot, which is primal ancient. I got it last night with my friend. Now primal ancient is an ancient that has maximum roll for all the affixes. That is a good news. The not so good news for this particular item is that because I have a secondary poison resistant, which can't spoil the whole thing, because I'd rather have the all resist instead. But I can't have all resist, so at least I can move a little bit faster. It kind of synergizes with the way that movement build works. The weapon wise, I use the Bukathos kind of like a solemn vow, as well as the solemn vow set, which is the vow and blood. It's good because you with this set you have no problem generating the fury, which you really need it for powering up your basically the fury spending powers or abilities. It also gives your Whirlwind another kind of like attack speed and movement speed buff as well. Very, very good. So it is a set. Again, these are ancient, so I'm rather happy to have crafted this one. Yeah, I think I mentioned before how painful it was to actually craft this one, but yeah, there it is. Now, the amulet wise, I think the good one would be either a amulet, Hellfire amulet, or one of those that would give you immunity against, say, cold damage or arcane damage or fire damage. You know, one of those kind of like amulet that is kind of nice if you are up against some kind of bosses that you have difficulty with. So now this Hellfire amulet is not really that great, but you know, it does have the right affixes, and also the passive is the right one. Berserker Rage is when I am near max fury, I would actually get more powerful from a passive perspective. So it is it's a good amulet. It's not a great amulet. It doesn't have the ancient yet, so I could craft another one that work with that. Or I could use one of those amulets that give me immunity against some of the damage type. Now, if I were to pick one, which one would I pick for Barbarian? I think it would be Arcane, because I've seen a lot of damage, like well, maybe poison as well, because I do struggle with the poison boss a lot. So poison damage and the arcane are the either one I get struggle a lot. I have no problem with lightning one, because if the elite kind of like radiating a lot of lightning from the melee kind of range, you just need to pull back a little bit and then I charge it back in. So I could avoid those. That's fine. The ice one, you could avoid that, or if you pop the berserker, kind of like a Wrath of the Berserker as well, it's kind of fine. I usually can survive through all this ice thingy. If there is a frost pulse, then you just move a little bit away. Because as a whirlwind build, you don't need to stand at that particular spot. You can just move around a little bit. So that doesn't really worry me too much. The only thing, motor, of course, is no problem with that. Fire, desecration, no problem with that. The only thing that really struggle with from a barbarian point of view would be the arcane, because when arcane swipe the whole area, especially when there are a few of them and it's a closed corridor, you don't really have a chance to close back in. And if you can't close back in, you can't do damage. There's no ranged ability for this build. So I find that arcane is probably one that I would do something about it, or poison, because out of all the guardian bosses, I find that poison is the one that really hard to deal with. That's from my perspective. The waste wise would be the Pride of Cassius. Because Ignore Pain extend by another 6 seconds, which is kind of good, because Ignore Pain give you another additional damage reduction and immunity to a controlling effect. Oh, sorry. So if you have the frost thingy, frozen thing, if you are under Ignore Pain, that's fine, because you are immunity against those force kind of thing on the floor, not the other one. Sorry, my apologies. It's this one. So it is good, and also it's synergized. Well, I'll talk a little bit about the runes later. So this basically is the BIS for my build to have Ignore Pain. Okay, now I know this is not really the best thing for my barbarian. It's just that it does give me all the affixes are rather nice. It gives me a physical skill, more damage, because my Whirlwind is basically a physical skill. So it does buff my Whirlwind a little bit. I think another one I could consider is the one that when the mobs are stunned, you get really reduced kind of damage received, or increased damage increase. It's kind of nice, because if you go with your follower, or if you are in a group, there are mobs that get stunned anyway. But it's just that of all the bracers I've got, this is the best I've got. I don't even have a nemesis. for whatever reason. I would prefer Nemesis if I could for the slot, because I can spawn more elites and I can do a riff a little bit faster. But it does help in a sense that if I hit any objects, which I do a lot, my character move really fast. It's kind of fun. If you are chasing like Greater Rift kind of like, or Rift, fast riff, then you know, it is kind of nice as well. But I would definitely go for a Nemesis myself if I have a chance to get a good one. The last ring slot, I use a Band of Might. Now, not many people use that because you know, because some like to use a conversion of elements. You know, when it converts into, say, the physical kind of like a cycle, out of the 5 of them, you get a really huge buff, especially when you are dealing with the Guardian towards the end. When that particular cycle kicks in, then you finally realize that you are so much more powerful at that cycle. The only thing is that I found that, you know, the character is a little bit fragile. I want it to be a little bit more durable. I like Fury Charge because it does give me the kind of mobility that I kind of synergize with the build I have. And I could mix it in as well without having to sacrifice on dropping some of the buff that I have, like the Whirlwind, the channel spell ability. So I like it. I like the fact that I could quickly, you know, dash out and then after that quickly dash back in again, do some kind of like damage. Like for example, if there's some frost there, if my ignore pain is not on, or if for whatever reason I need to get out and get back in again, it kind of fast. And the good thing is that if I could keep it up, there's up to 80%. I mean, 70% is mid-range. I could have up to 80% of damage reduction, making the character a lot more durable, desirable to play, you know, easier to play compared to you know, some of the other, you know, build that I may be using. Now, Knight Cube wise, I use the furnace that increase damage against elite. I don't think there are any other things for this barbarian to use for making him or her better. The mental channeling is good because it does give me increased damage, reduce damage. So you know, I channel a lot, and also the this one increased the Whirlwind by 400%. It's almost like a must. If I have the ring that is a skull grabs with the 400% plus all the right affixes, I may use it instead of this one. I'll cube this one in. But if I'm to choose between the 400% Whirlwind versus 70 out of 80% of damage reduction, I'll take the Whirlwind as 400%. That's just from me. Now, there's a lot of talking on the gear itself because, you know, in Diablo, a lot of time you choose the skill based on, or choose a gear based on the skill that you want, kind of like synergize to each other. A lot of thing is going through the Whirlwind and the and a lot of thing to crit. So in this build, crit is very important. Why? Because from the rune wise perspective, I crit from Whirlwind restore my health. So if I crit, I get more health back. Then my battle rage also will increase crit chance by 3%, and also deal damage equal to 20% of my recent crit hit to enemies within 20 yards every 1 second. So it does synergize with my area build, my crit build. Wrath of the Berserker, of course, increase crit by 10%. And then there are many other things that you could do with the crit as well. So the crit is kind of important, because I have the legendary gem here that if I crit, I deal like damage over time as well. So all in all, the crit is very useful for basically the build that I'm having right now, area build. The passive wise, I have Ruthless, which kind of important for especially the against single targets, because like I said before, this build is very area build. So against a single target is kind of like lacking. But then with this one kicks in at 30% health, I do realize that once the Guardian go down by a fair bit, especially with the legendary gem that I'm using, the Stricken, it goes down really fast, especially towards the end of it, which is kind of important. Boon of the Bukatos decrease my Wrath of the Berserker by 30 seconds. So by right is 120 second kind of like cooldown decreased by 30 seconds. Then plus all the cooldown reduction gear that you have, plus the the ring of the obsidian ring of the zodiac, which I'll talk a little bit about later, that make it a lot easier to pop certain things. Then you have brawler. So long as there are 3 enemy within 12 yards, all your damage increase by 20%. Again, it's a very nice area build. And rampage also, as in when your enemy died, you kind of increase your strength by 1% for 8 seconds. So sometimes if you could keep up to 25%, it increases your strength. Will increase your DPS. It increases your armor as well. So they make you even a stronger tank. So that is, and together with the Berserker, the Berserker Rage that I mentioned about the Hellfire Ring, then it gives you the additional damage here and there. So it is kind of neat the way they do it. So, to recap, 2 of these are more for, well, at least one of them is mainly for single target. Well, of course, it does benefit the multiple ones as well. The other 2 is mainly for area. Now, the legendary gem-wise, choices are as follow. And I know there's been a lot of debate on what is good, what is the best, and so on, but I just can speak from my experience. So, the Pain Enhancer is good because mine is a crit build. Then I crit, then the 6,100% of bleeding as a physical, kind of nice. It works with the build that I'm having, and also any enemy that bleed, I gain another 3% increased attack speed. So that's very nice. The other one that I'll use, by the way, is the Taoguk, which is the as you channel, then you increase your armor for up to 20%, increase your damage 10 stat, which is about 48%. So that's nice. But you have to keep channeling. But that's not a problem if you see my video on the Whirlwind build, because that's what you do. Now the last one normally is a lot of controversial on this one. Is it Bane of the Powerful? Is it Bane of the Stricken? I think if you are dealing with Rift that is around 60-ish or below 70, Bane of the Powerful is nice because you don't really struggle with the bosses, the Guardian in a Greater Rift, because this one only give you 25% against the bosses and Rift Guardians. But the good thing about this one is that if the fight is long, and usually it does, at least for me when I deal with the Guardian at say Greater Rift 80 or 85, the Guardian usually lasts for a while. Now, and every time you attack it, increase the damage by 1.52%. My attack speed is, I think, 1.65 per second before the adjustment, I think, or after adjustment, before all the buff kicks in. So if I get buff, it get even higher. So I do hit for quite a fair bit, and although it's just 1.52%, if the fight drags on, it kind of increases as well. The not so good thing about it is that it only works for the first target, I think, or the target that is being debuffed with that. But when you are dealing with Rift Guardian, the first target you hit will be the one that receives the the increased damage, so long as you don't die, I think. I'm not quite sure whether it persists after death or not. But it's really, really good for long boss fights. It does add up, and so that's what I feel that this is still the better one for me. I'll choose this one over Bane of the Powerful, especially when I'm doing Greater Rift 75 and above, so 80 or 85, 90. So it does last for a long time, so the boss fight. And sometimes some of these boss fights are very hard to dodge these damages that they give. The window of attack is very little, especially for melee. Some of the bosses is really kind of impossible. So I will probably stick by this legendary gem. Now the gameplay wise, maybe talk a little bit about that. Now the key of this whole build is the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, because you have the cooldown reduced by 1 second when you hit a resource with a resource spending attack like the Whirlwind. And you sort of reduce the cooldown of one of your skills. Now one of the skill is basically it could be any skill that is trigger the cooldown. So for example, I can trigger this guy, and there's a cooldown here. As I hit, then this one of the skill may get cooldown reduction as well. And I can have Ignore Pain, which is also another cooldown. I could have the Charge, which is also another cooldown. then I could have a Berserker, which is another cooldown, right? So now, as you can see, the more cooldown power you have, the lesser chance you land on the cooldown reduction that you really want, which in this case, the Berserker, for example, or even Ignore Pain. So in a sense, although I have 3 charges of charge, Furious Charge, I don't really spam it because I use it for this debuff, which is 8 seconds. So I know that I can do like I can charge this one quite often, but I normally will not charge it unless it is necessary because I don't want it too many like trigger cooldown, and the best for it of course is for this one to trigger on the rest of it. Another alternative, of course, top build that using instead of the charge would be the Ancient Sphere, which I may use it towards the end because Ancient Sphere is also a resource kind of like it uses resource and it will trigger the obsidian ring of the Zodiac as well, and you can use it to pull the enemy to you and slow them down as well. So it's kind of nice to mix it in, to use a sphere to just for utility pull the mobs around you, and I think it's very useful for group play, even for like some of the solo environment whereby you want to pull the elite out of certain kind of area. You could do that too, so it's very neat. I may transit to that, but I'll have to lose the Furious Charge and I have to deal with the damage reduction that is being reduced because I would not enjoy the 70% damage reduction anymore if I do that. But I mean, all in all, what I'm trying to say is that the build itself is kind of nice, but you don't pop the cooldown when it's not necessary. For example, when the War Cry came off from the cooldown, if I'm still having my Max Fury, there's no point popping it because when you pop it, you trigger another cooldown, and that would sort of like divert all the attention of the proc into the wrong places. So I will not do that, and I will also will not charge if I unless I really need to, especially. I want it to land. I want the cooldown reduction on my Berserker as well as Ignore Pain. These are the one that I need to keep it on. These are my main bread and butter for DPS and or for the recovery. Kind of way. So a little bit of thinking behind it. It's not like when you play a Crusader, you try to pop everything. Like my friend, how they play the Crusader is that he has the clip on the keyboard, so he can press 3 keys at the same time. You put a hard disk onto a space bar, so basically everything just pop on cooldown. You can't do that for Barbarian, for at least this build. You have got to think a little bit. You have got to be a little bit like should I be channeling or should I not? Am I having enough Fury to sustain it? Am I not? So things like this you need to keep thinking as you play the Barbarian. That's why I find it very engaging. It's not like you just brainlessly click cooldown and brainlessly sweep across the whole map. There are mobs that you need to be careful a little bit. There are some elite type that would be very harmful to you. And also in a group environment, because I know I'm very good at the taking physical damage, I would be in front taking the bullet. Maybe sometimes I know the range hero get one shot by all these things because I have played a range before. But then I know that if my Barbarian collect all this like damage outside, it's just my Barbarian, like the hard end damage to him if I hit a bullet or hit those like fire that come onto me, I don't know, for whatever reason. So I would, in a group play, I would actively block all the bullet from my range heroes as well. I mean, at least up to greater with 85. I don't know when it comes to 90 and above, do I need to dodge those? Maybe I do, but I think that is a story for another day. So I hope you enjoy this one video. Just sharing my build to you. I'm not going to put in any gameplay video because you can see my other video in the channel for Barbarian. They are all like this Whirlwind build. So it looks easy, but it's not that easy. There's still a fair bit of thinking behind it. Alright, so I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.